It's Tuesday. It is Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Happy fucking Tuesday. It's been so long since I've been out on the water. Well, I've been thinking about taking up fishing to get some time away. Contemplate the differences in my day-to-day. Probably do more fishing than catching, but that's okay. I've been thinking about taking up fishing. I've been thinking about taking up fishing. I say it every year. Now people just roll their eyes and snicker every time they hear. Maybe it's just another excuse to buy some fancy gear. I've been thinking about taking up fishing. Thinking about taking up fishing. 'Cause it's been so long since I've been out on the water. But that endless tree line my mind can't erase. Just the wind's song and the silence after. I can't remember when this quiet felt this safe. I can't remember when this quiet felt this safe. I've been thinking about taking up fishing. It's what I tell myself. Take that old rod and tackle down off the ship. 'Cause if it ain't fishing, then it's something else. Fuck it, anything else. I've been thinking about taking up fishing. Thinking about taking up fishing. Happy Tuesday. I feel like that particular tune's put me in the right place where I need to be at the moment. Every Tuesday is a little different, right? I mean, every day is a little different, but every Tuesday around these parts feels a little bit different. I'm going to do one more for you before we get things moving. Thank you so much to last week's guest, Sam Brown. We had a fantastic time talking, and God, she can sing like the fucking Dickens. Oh my God, she's such a great singer. It was so great to have her on. So good to talk to her and reconnect. Tonight, I'm just as excited about our guest. We'll talk about that in just a minute. I'm going to play another song for you. This is an oldie but a goodie. Goes something like this. Pick up the pace just a little bit. I found this old picture of me. I look just like myself, but younger, less round, and more fire in my cheeks. A gut full of vim and hunger for only God knows what, but I gotta have it now. Because my youth was a time when I made up my mind, when I thought I had it figured out. When I didn't know shit, but was so full of it that there wasn't any room for doubt. When I was young, I had it figured out. I wrote poems out of everyday speech. I sung each one flushed with passion. I stitched a brass heart on the sleeve of the armor I had fashioned, of piss and vinegar, which I wore just like cologne. Because my youth was a time when I made up my mind, when I thought I had it figured out. When I didn't know shit but was so full of it that there wasn't any room for doubt. When I was young, I had it figured out. Woo! Break it down, break it down, break it down. To the metal bridge, let's get contemplative. But sometime I grew up and I began to feel unsure. I kept on shining apples that had rotted to the core. So rose-tinted rearview mirror, please replace my old reflection to where it blocks out the morning sun, because I'm blind to new direction. Block out the morning sun, I'd rather relive recollection. Block out the morning sun, block out the morning sun. Now I'm an old man in my eyes, but I'm still just a child of my mother. And all my old victory cries have been echoed in tears of some other guy who also had that twinkle in his mind. Because my youth was a time when I made up my mind, when I thought I had it figured out, when I didn't know shit but was so full of it that there wasn't any room for doubt. When I was young, I had it figured out. Yeah, I thought I had it figured out. I guess I'll never have it figured out. Cha-cha-cha. All right. Woo. Now the blood's flowing. Now the energy's going. I'm liking that. All right. Woo. I've not played that song in a minute. Whew, it used to be the kind of thing I open up every show with or close every show with, but there aren't quite so many shows now, are there? And I just got to rely on whatever energy I'm picking up in the room, whatever energy you occasionally toss back at me in the way of chat and what have you. Comments, I believe they're called. For those of you that are not quite sure why you're here, I'm Chris Q. Murphy, and this is the Tuesday Night Live Stream. We've been running this live stream since May of 2020. We've been having guests on every week since August of 2020, and it's been a fantastic way to connect with songwriters from all over the country, talk about their process, where they're at inside their head, where they're at outside their head, where they're at in the middle of the pandemic, what have you. It's been a great opportunity just to talk to songwriters about songwriting, and tonight should definitely be no different. I'm not going to front. This is somebody that I personally do not know very well. Where some of the guests are very close friends of mine and it feels like old home week, I'm excited this week to get to know somebody within the context of this show. This is somebody that I've seen perform in person all but one time, and I was absolutely blown away by his vocal skill and by his stage presence. Like, I was taken and kind of sucked into it immediately. Before he even sang a note, I was like, I want to know what this guy is about to do because of the way that they carried themselves on stage. Sometimes when you go to a show or even tune into a show or a movie, you can just see somebody in front of you on the screen and you know that something magical is about to happen. And sure enough, that night something did. It was one of those things where somebody's like 4 bars into their song. You're like, I'm going to follow that motherfucker. And you put that in your phone right away. And you're like, I want to see what they're up to all the time. And because of, life circumstance, and now because people just aren't going out at all because of that pesky COVID shit, I have not had the opportunity to even go see this person play live again. And it's been really disappointing, but really exciting to be able to keep up with some of their goings on those social medias. This is somebody that is based in Brooklyn, New York. I'm very excited. We had to cancel his show back in December because of my own fucking life circumstances, but I'm happy to go ahead and have him back now. Ladies and gentlemen of the Chris Q. Murphy live stream world, let's give a nice big at-home round of applause to Wesley Graham. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Taking every day as I can.
That's the only way you can take it.
Seriously.
I'm liking that tapestry or thing you're hanging behind you. That's dope.
Thank you. It's like the universe was telling me I was supposed to be into astrology. I got this like 6 years ago now, and that's like 2 years before I got really into astrology. And then
nice.
Like, oh, I think I'm a Leo. Oh my God. And then it was all in my head, and I was like, they knew the whole time.
That's awesome. I remember when one of my sons was born, one of my astrology friends was like, I need to know the exact time. I'm gonna do that kid's fucking chart right now. Yeah. I was like, hold on, let me look at the paperwork in the doctor. And I sent it to him, and he told me that the kid's gonna be a trombone player. And I was like, that shit's written in the stars. I'm down with that. I mean, what's funny is when he was 2 years old, by absolutely no insistence of me and my spouse, like he got really into the trombone. It was like, the stars were fucking at work, just like that.
Okay, it's like
I know, right?
No, I for a long time, like towards the end of college and just anywhere I went, I was very much like, text your mom what time were you born, or text whatever parental you have a relationship with. And then I remember there was one summer, very much before Covacia, where I was like, I was drunk at a party and I was just walking around being like, what's your sign? What's your pronoun? People are like, names. You have to get people's names. Signs and pronouns. And I was like, I'm getting the important stuff. Like, there's a million Johns, but there's only one Pisces with a Scorpio moon who's like uses they, he pronouns like at this party right now. That's how I'm going to remember this person. Names are also important.
I'm impressed that you can keep track of all of those things at the same time. I have hard enough time with just the names, but I mean, like you being able to track the pronouns and the signs after just meeting them, that's mad impressive. Do you get the sign vibe off somebody?
Now I do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's like a lot of times, well, it's just like, like I have an Aquarius rising, so I already people watch a lot. So a lot of the time it went from just being like, why is that person not eating the rest of their fries and throwing them in the trash can? And now it's more of like is that a Taurus moon trait, or is that like, it wouldn't be a Taurus moon trait. But like, I just threw one out there. But for the people that know astrology, do not come for me. I do not think Taurus moon trait. They would never throw away extra food. But yeah, so it's more of that, of kind of like, why, like, what is this person's moon placement? How, or like, wow, it's like if somebody yells at me at my job, I was a barista before everything, and it's just like if somebody yells at me, it's like, oh, somebody's like upset that Mars is in Pisces today. So, I don't have that energy.
Now here's the thing. I don't know my whole thing. I can only tell you what like my basic fucking newspaper sign is. I can't tell you. I can tell you what was going on in the heavens on the exact day I was born. But
okay,
let's play a fun game.
Yes.
At some point during the show, after we've hung out a little bit, I want you to try to get a bead on me, and I want you to call out what the whole shebang is, and then I'll look it up later, and I'll just text you and be like, "You nailed it," or "You were close."
Okay. As a Leo, my pride is at stake.
No, I'm sorry.
No, it's also Leo, very fickle. I'm being facetious. I want to do it. I want to win. I want to be right. I've been right enough times that I'm like, I am a god, and I'm like, I can do this with anyone. It's like very much like in a Linda Belcher. Although Linda Belcher is a Sagittarius. Like it's very much like once she thinks she can do something, she's like, "Yep, no, it's true, and this is what it is." So I've got enough people's signs and like moon signs right that I'm like, "Wow, I am just seeing through people." My Scorpio moon is infallible, but anyone who knows what a Scorpio moon is knows that's not true.
So, do you have my basic sign already? Have you already?
Well, it's interesting because it's like. In this, like this is a very like kind of cozy space, so I would wonder like how much of it's your rising sign or your sun sign. They're very communicative, and so will you give me an element? Because going from 12 to 1 is harder than going from 4 to 1. So what element is your sign?
I don't even know if I know that, but I'll look it up right now. I mean,
great.
Where the hell are we going? Let's see. I'm going to type it. Hopefully you won't see me typing. Oh, wait.
No, I just see the back of the phone. I'm not that guy, bro.
Kind of sign
is
I got some old-ass Gen X fingers over here, so I'm still typing the word is.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know. Let me think. Is it? Oh, that. You know what? Wow.
If it surprised you, that helps me.
It did surprise me. It did surprise me. It's fire.
Oh, that's fun. Okay.
Because I feel like an Earth. Like I feel like I sit as an Earth in this universe. That's where I feel like I live. But my sign.
Oh, well, the moon. So that's the thing. So like your sun sign is like your overall personality, but your moon sign is like your moods and emotions, and it's like your emotional body, and it has a lot to do with like your childhood and like so like what makes you who you are versus like, and then your rising sign is like how you kind of operate through every day. It's like the face you put on consciously and subconsciously and it's how people like perceive you. So those are all drastically. So like, you know, if you're the same sign as all three, you might like everyone's like, oh, you're the same with everyone. But some people are like, oh my God, you're so different with your family than with your friends. Then they might have a different sun sign than the moon sign. So
okay.
Depends.
All right, well, we can play as the thing goes on. You can try to get a vibe, and then we'll suss it out later. I'll just let you in. I'm a fire sign. My sun sign is a fire sign, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
So now I know this is astrology is something you've been getting into like professionally as of late.
I want to. It's one of those things where I am like, I know enough to be like, I can read most people's charts pretty in depth, but there's some things where it's like I want to get like just because of the way person I am and just like how many entrepreneurs have been in my family. It's like I don't want to start giving any type of thing unless I won't have any questions, or at least like the range of questions I have is very controlled. Because, you know, I have no problem being like, I don't know about that, but I don't want it to be more. I don't want to not know more than I know about something when I'm trying to give somebody like a service, especially.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm the same way. I get that.
So I'm on my way. So I have hashtag Chandy Nicholas. We love a queer icon, an astrologer. Get her app. It is worth it. If you're ever just like, what sign of the planets in right now? That app will be able to tell you, and you'd be surprised how helpful that is. But so I'm like really like beefing up on my, you know, Aquarius season, and just 2021 in general. I really want to like get all my ducks in a row so that when I'm ready to like really put myself out there, I don't have as many like potholes. Like that makes sense.
I feel that. Yeah, when I'm going to launch something, I want to know, I want to feel confident in what I'm doing.
Right, because I don't like looking bad. Like, so it's like if I can do enough, but I'm not the most patient person, but I'd rather be patient and look good than rush and bad. So that's why I'm always late.
Well, it's also like if you want to do anything for the purpose of growth, like when you're always second guessing yourself in the moment, that like real growth becomes almost impossible. There has to be like a certain level of core confidence there to build on, and the only way you grow is by interacting with other people. So if you're doing readings and you're getting better at it by doing it, you're not going to be able to make those jumps unless you feel like pretty solid foundationally.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that it's the most real, like assuring thing about like learning like practice. I'm also doing that with crystals and like tarot is that the more I do, the more I'm able to like not use the book as much, and like I don't have to like check up on myself as much, and it's just like I'm able to trust my intuition more, which is the point of all of these things. So, and the only reason it is a service is just to like spark that like intuition in other people, because that's the whole thing. Is like everyone is connected to spirit, like so it's like everyone. It's like just some people have more like a stronger pull for whatever reason. So it's like, no, but like if you want to manifest, like you can do that. I can just kind of show you what to do. Like I'm just like, you know, I want to be just like, you know, a physical spiritual trainer. I'll give you a crystal and like a J full of like herbs and stuff. And I made this candle. Like me and my boyfriend made this candle. Burn it on Thursdays. It's green. It's good for prosperity and discernment with money.
That sounds awesome. So are you going to be looking to do this as a professional, like money type thing?
So money or resources. If it's like, hey, I'll make you this smoke, like my partner, and I'll make you like a smoke blend, and like you can tattoo me, like that kind of thing. I'm down for it. It's like, oh, you make bread? I don't. Do you want like a tarot reading? Like that kind of stuff. And also, yes, money. We do live in late stage capitalism. So
late as fuck. It is so late. It's not
my fault. I was born in 95. This is a mess. Like I'm doing the best I can. I'm not even 30 yet. Like I'm trying.
I was born way before that, and I've been watching this capitalism ship just kind of like do this for my entire life. But it's been great because at the same time I've been like, I'm kind of okay with that. The shit keeps sinking. Exactly. I'm like, this shit isn't working at anybody's benefit. Nobody in my life anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
No, it's true. Like I did not grow up with means. Like I did not grow up like I did not want for like food or shelter, and I will always be thankful for that. And I don't want to minimize that at all. But I did not grow up. I was middle to lower middle class my entire life, and so I remember like and when I grew up, like Abercrombie was like an expensive brand. And I was like, ooh, this is a $40 sweater. And then I went to college and there are people who were like, this is Balenciaga. And I was like, you're not famous. You're not allowed to wear that. I was like, only famous people can wear brands like that. Like I didn't realize that people like that weren't like Bradley Cooper had enough money to buy stuff like that. So I was like, whoa, I was gagged when there was like a laundry service at my college. I didn't know what a liberal arts school was. I was just like, they say I don't have to pick a major here. Let's try that. And then they're like, you never heard of like Bard or like that. I was like, nothing. From a very, very sheltered home life. So I'm just excited to be here.
So I have to wonder if you are a firm believer in the fact that we are here in late stage capitalism. How does that play out in your life, since this is a show about fucking songwriting? How does that play out in your life as a creative person? As a person that creates things.
So I think that just because I am just so marginalized that I was like, I'm gonna have to wait so long before people are like asking me to like quell my creativeness for like the big dollars. I was like, no one wants my shit enough for me to have to be like, oh, sorry, this isn't gonna be like top 40 enough. But then like the first record label I ever talked to that were like, yeah, we will, my dream of like, we will pay you to record your songs. We like, all I want to do is have a place when people are like, that's a nice song. Can I listen to it? And I'm like, no, it's only exists live and in my brain. Like I would just love for that not to be the case anymore. I really don't want much. That and a tour, that'd be fun. But so like when that happens, like they were like, yeah, like we love your song. It's like I have this like 7-minute like dream ballad. I read a lot of musical theater, but like it's experimental and shit. So it's like, yeah, it's a 7-minute song about the death of a scarecrow from his abusive farmer father. And they're like, could you cut it down to like 3 minutes and put a verse chorus? And I was like, no, like I don't know how to do that. Like I'm sorry, I have like 2 songs like that, but like even like I have a song that I'm gonna play tonight that in my brain is like so short, and my friend's like, there's 2 verses and a chorus. Like, yeah, it doesn't have a bridge, but like it's a normal length song. And I'm like, I don't know, it's under 3 minutes. Like, what would Herbie Hancock say? I'm like
I'm gonna get a bracelet that says what would Herbie Hancock
WWH
WWHD.
Yeah. My dad would be very proud of that. But no, so it's been like a thing of like, wow, like I ain't nobody yet, and I still have to like deal with the thing of like, oh, do you want to like change your shit up just to be able to record for the first time or like ever since I was like 10, and my dad was like, let's do Pro Tools for a school project. But yeah, so it's like I don't want to have to do that because it's like, no, the whole point of like having Black trans people do other things with their lives besides die is like be able to do my art the way I want to. So it's like, what is the point? And it's like, and it wasn't like, oh, we want you to like just add, like it was like, we want you to pretty much change the entire song. And I do appreciate that they were like, if this is too much, we understand that. Like if this is too far from what you're doing, we get that. But it wasn't like they were like, here's a quirkier group that'll help you. They're just like, if that's not what you're going to do, we understand and see you later. And I was like, okay, so back to unemployment. So it's just been a little bit of that where it's like, oh, I don't want to, like, there's no ethical consumerism under capitalism. But I would also like it to stop, please. So I don't know how to like it's hard. It's like, I want to be paid for the like group, because my music, as you will hear, is laden with trauma. I don't really write happy songs. I'm like Adele before 25. Just like another song, ladies, here we go. Yeah, and especially when like I did improv for 4 years in college, so like I did a lot of like haha, funny, and then the musicals that I were in were very much like campy stuff. And then I did my own musical my senior year, and it was like, I am trapped in an apartment that's actually a black hole, and I have panic attacks when I think about space. And it's like, everyone was like, so he's not as fun as we thought. He's not doing okay. And so it's like, it's hard finding a space for me to do that and actually be able to do it in a place where I can live comfortably without feeding into a system that I want truly nothing to do apart with. Because of course, like growing up, there's this like twofold thing with wanting to be an artist, and whether it's like a visual artist or a musician or whatever. And it's that you idolize the people often wealthy in your field. It's not just the artists you like the most, but it's the ones that are the most popular and like famous in that way. So I always associated doing my dream of like singing and writing music with being wealthy and famous from such a young age. Right. Whereas like when I got older and I was like, oh, well, if I did live in a society where like my housing and my food and like all these things were like, and my health were taken care of, I wouldn't need a mansion. If everything was taken care of and everyone I knew was taken care of, I wouldn't need all that much. If I could just be paid to be a musician by a body that provides for its people, which is what I thought a government was. So
I believe it's called Europe.
Yeah, you know, and it's like I would love to try in a place not as homogenous because, you know, of course you can all get along. Like Sweden, everyone looks the same. Like, and I know a lot of Swedes, and so like it gagged me. I didn't really understand. I didn't see socialism like happening. Oh, the social democracy is different, but like I didn't really see it in person until I went abroad, which was also cheaper than my college. Like I was like, oh, of course I'm not going to be able to afford it, and they're like, a semester there is cheaper. And my mom was like, go explore, get out of here. And so I got there and they're like, oh, I can't wait for my monthly money to come. And we were like, oh, I was like, all the Americans like, did your parents agree to send you money? And they're like, no, from the government for being students. We were like, don't be ridiculous. We're paying you to be a student. That's absurd. And they're like, everyone in Sweden. And I was like, wow, okay, like my Republican high school told me a lie about socialism and communism and how they're just kind of the same thing. And also they're also Nazis. And like, that's very much the energy I was taught of like, we love Reagan and everyone that isn't a Democrat, everyone that doesn't like the two-party system is evil and terrible. And so I wasn't a full adult until I was like, actually, none of this stuff works for me at all. And I actually could think of a version of myself that is happy without these things.
Word. I grew up, actually, Reagan was president through most of my youth. So, like, the whole idea of what it means to be a productive human American is like, what the fuck? And it took me until, like, well into my adult life to say, oh, my God, this shit that is driving me comes from such a weird, deep, childhood place. Like it has nothing to do with like, it's not just what my mother taught me. It's not just like what my neighborhood or my society taught me. It's like my government taught me what it means to be successful. And as an artist, especially one that's like always had one foot in the artist world and one in the education world, I've like constantly had to question and rejigger like what I'm considering success. And it's really awesome to hear that somebody that is younger than I am has already like come to some of these conclusions. And while you are marginalized in oh so many ways, I'm glad that at least that part of your artistic life has been liberated a little bit to the point where like you can go forward as an artist and make decisions based on that. And you're here tonight because you're an artist. I mean, I wish I had a ton of money to pay you, but you can do whatever the fuck you want to do. You can play long songs. You can play short songs. You can play songs about whatever you want as long as they are part of who you are and represent you as an artist, because that's exactly why you're here with us tonight. Awesome. So I want to shut up and actually let you play songs because you had so much cool shit to say. We have not heard a single damn song. And that's fine. That can be another show. I have podcast like people on the show. Like we're planning additional shows that have nothing to do with playing instruments or singing songs that are just talking about other shit because we had so much fun. But I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to say to everybody out there, Wesley Graham is about to play some songs for us. Why don't you do two? I'll completely get out of the way, get off the screen, and leave it to you. This is the Tuesday Night Live Stream. I'm your host, Chris Q. Murphy. This is our musical guest, Wesley Graham. Take it away.
So this song is called Entree. It's the first song in my second musical, I guess. Yeah. So here we go. There was a little boy outside who taught me how to hide from the dragon who lives inside my castle. My castle's made of skin. I don't know who let it in, so we're stuck. Oh, fuck. Andre, come inside and let me see you flow away. And either way you stay, you stay. My fortress keeps me safe from sound, shaves all my senses down to a humming that is easy to ignore. My blood is cold and thick, cutting sideways to the quick of the antimatter. Andre, come inside and let me see you flow away. And either way you stay, you stay. Don't know any other way. Don't know any other way. Don't know any other way. 'Cause either way I'll stay. Because either way I'll stay. Because either way I'll stay. Either way I'll stay. That's that one. That one's like 4 years old. Good. No, that's not right. That's not right. Oh, it is right. 4 years old. That's crazy. Wow, song has gone through so many different mutations and distortions. But it's about it's a musical about a scarecrow who's, he's very traumatized. He is in a very toxic relationship with the farmer, and he starts a new relationship, like a new friendship with the crows on the fields. And it's just him realizing, like, hey, you're gonna have to put more stock in yourself if you're ever gonna be happy. And the death of that character, that person that doesn't hold any space for themselves, I guess. This next song has nothing to do with that. This is called Boys. It's about how gay I am. Here we go. 4 3 4 4 3. Here we go. Boys, They made so much noise with their specific toys to teach them all the world's joys. I just want to be one of the boys. As a kid, I would sit with them at lunch. They would give me weird concoctions of things to munch on to prove I wasn't girly. But their approval sent me twirling down a drain. Self-destruction. Boys, they made so much noise with their specific toys that teach them all the world's joys. My hands, my face, my ass, and my waist. The moniker of the untraditional boy, but they fill me with so much joy. Oh, in my childhood, I wanted to be seen as one of them. Now, in my tumultuous adulthood, I also realized I would also love to be loved by one of them. Oh, boys, they make so much noise with their specific toys that teach them all the world, all the world, all the world, all the world's joys. Oh, boys.
Yes, Wesley Graham, ladies and gentlemen. Round of applause for the people out there in Homeland. That was fantastic.
Ah, thanks.
And I, as a music theater lover, I will come see a show about a scarecrow in that situation anytime. I'm excited to hear more about that story. Is this a show that you've completed, or is it something you're kind of working on?
Yes. So the show that I wrote for my senior year of college, the one that was like, I'm unwell and I'm in space. I took that one, and while I was very, very thankful for that production, there were a lot of parts of it where I just wasn't my it was my senior year of college, so it was very much like I'm not a full person. I'm trying to become part of a person. So like it was really half of an idea, and we had like a month to put it on because we got a bigger venue than we planned for because there was a whole mess with the main stage production. So they were like, "You have a musical, right? You want to put something up in 3 weeks?" And I was like, "Okay." So, and I was playing the main character, and I wrote it, and the band was people that I pulled together. So I'm like very much like trying to remember my blocking while like being like, that's not the right chord for that. And being like, no, we should go over here because we're going into this scene. So it was like, I had a lot of help, but at the end of the day, I didn't really have a lot of time to work with the music of it itself. So it wasn't until afterwards I realized like, oh, I'm really writing like 2 different stories, and they kind of cram them into the same musical. And one was about space and like really about like, I love space and just like how vast it is and how minuscule it makes us and how comforting to me that is, and how like it's the corporeal that makes me anxious. It's like the things where gravity have control that make me anxious, not places where like we're just kind of floating all out in the void. Versus the other half of the songs were all about like what it means to be on Earth. So it was about like there was stuff about like sunrise and like seasons and all this stuff. And I was like, I can't talk about being in space and talk about the sunrise. Like there's no atmosphere, there's no horizon. Like how like right. These are different ideas. So the ones about Earth became more about a story about like what it feels to be like stuck physically, and then what it means to like how you have to like unstick yourself. Like in those times in which I've had to unstick myself, or I've had help unsticking myself from places that like weren't the best thing for me. And so it was infinitely harder to stop thinking in the mindset that I was in when I was there than it was to physically leave the place, even though both were difficult. So I think that music was more about like isolation and like how how isolation can be protective versus dangerous. Then the other one's more about like, how you react to that isolation of like when people are like, oh, like, entrapment, like fear of entrapment, like, never be tied down again and getting like, anxious by, I don't know. I found myself like when I moved to New York, I really didn't know I was anxious because I was like, oh, I'm used to being like depressed or like suicidal, like not from any like actual diagnosis, just from like being going through college, people being like, you're not neurotypical. I hope you know this. Me being like, I did not. But I was like, oh, is that what that is? I thought everyone was this sad. So I moved to New York, and I just started hearing I just had these like invasive thoughts of being like, you're gonna die, you're gonna fall off the train tracks, like all these things. And I was just like, I'm not saying I want to do these things. I'm afraid they're gonna happen. My friend was like, that sounds like you're anxious, homie. And so I was like, oh yeah, I just keep finding myself trying to like run away from thoughts that I feel like I can't explain where they come from. And that's a very different headspace from feeling like I can't escape.
Right.
They're there.
That's really interesting. And I feel like that's the opposite of the anxiety that so many people deal with on the day-to-day when we talk about anxiety. So that's real. As somebody that does suffer with pretty acute anxiety, it really feels like we come at it from different places. Like my depression is your anxiety and vice versa. I love it.
Wow. Yeah, because when I'm depressed, I'm very much like, oh, yeah, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere, but also I don't or it's either that. Like, I don't feel like doing anything, so I'll do everything. Like, I'm a Leo, so I'm like, okay, I don't feel great, so that means I want to do like 2 shows, like 18 extracurriculars, like start going to a new bar because I want to become a regular, so I feel important to someone. Like,
yeah,
anxious. It's like, well, I'm a lot all the time. I want that's the thing. Like a lot of like colleges, me being like, oh, a lot of me being like, I just like being busy. Is like I'm trying to avoid how like scary it is to be alone in my head. And these musicals popped out.
Nice.
Yeah.
I talk to my students at school, and by school I mean my fucking computer now. But that's the difference. I talk to my kids at school a lot about the idea of spending time with yourself and spending time by yourself, and how they're 2 very different things. And a lot of them will very happily say that they don't mind being by themselves. They've either grown accustomed to it or they enjoy it. And then I ask them, but how much time do you spend with yourself? And they're like, yeah, once they understand what I mean, they're like, oh, I'm not doing that shit. No, fuck that. I don't want to go there.
Yeah, exactly. Like I remember like years ago, I was like, okay, like I like there's just like there's so many contradictions to like anxiety, and like I kind of have to like clock them for myself, because it's like, oh, you're not good at music and stuff, and it's like, but I keep getting cast in things, and it's like, oh, no one wants to be your friend, but they keep asking me to hang out, and it was just like when I first got to college, it was like, no, you could be right, I have no basis, but I was like, no, these fuckers been hanging out with me for 4 years, and I keep doing the same dumb stuff, so clearly they like me. Like there's too much like real world facts to like go against that. But
Yeah.
so in around that time period, I was like, okay, I keep saying that I want to like love myself, but I won't like look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're beautiful. And I'd be like, this is stupid. This is stupid. And then I would leave, and then I'd be like, I don't know why I hate myself. And so it's like, even in that, it was like, I have to like, and I think that's where the show, like, that's like, and I still like, whereas the depression show was much easier to write because I spent so much like cognitive time there. Like I was thinking about being depressed a lot. Like BoJack Horseman was a show I watched a lot, so it was a lot of like broody Scorpio mood. Oh God, why am I traumatized? Why is me? But what do I do about it? Versus my anxiety was more of like avoid. I'm fine.
Right.
It's energy, and I'd rather like as a person that's also depressed. It's like I know that I'm like usually lethargic. I also have a chronic illness, so it's like, if this kind of like, I'm too afraid to sit down, so I'll just go for 36 hours. And it's like, but that was a beautiful 36 hours. And it's like, no, it wasn't. You didn't eat or sleep.
I'm sorry to laugh. It's just, I feel like you're telling me my own story about so many of these things. So I'm not laughing at you.
Oh, no.
Or even with you, I'm laughing at myself. So I hope you don't mind.
No, it's okay.
It's interesting that you found it easier to write the depression show, as you called it, because you said you had spent more time there cognitively. Because sometimes I wonder if in order to, and this is, again, I wonder, I'm not putting this on anybody. I wonder if the best art comes out of us when we're able to achieve that level of metacognition, when we can tell the story of our story. I wonder if that's the best art, or maybe it does just, but there are some people that, of course, will swear that they need to be in the moment for it to be the most. So I don't know.
I think the art is really connected to like shadow work, which like is just like, doing like emotional work that has to do with like trauma, like, anger, like any aggression that is not like, you can kind of like, everyone kind of can intuitively group what emotions will go into shadow work versus light work. But like, I feel like for some people, it might just be a thing of like, oh, like in the moment is when that like shadow work is like the most like, virulent. So that's the time in which they can best work with it, versus other people like can conjure it back up. And so like, other people, so it's like, like a medium versus a psychic, I guess, in the sense of like a medium can be like around a spirit. It's like, they're like, oh, it's someone here, versus a psychic being like, I didn't need to be told anything. Like, or like I used to watch a lot of Zach. Or used to. I watch it. I watch Zach Bagans. I think like, as somebody who's very spiritual, I'm like, what is this boy doing? He does like the Ghost Adventures, and it's like, sir.
Oh yeah.
There's a ghost in here, and you're like, push me off the banister. And it's like, no, like that is dangerous. So I watch a lot of that, and like they have psychics come on there, and there's this like mystique around, like, yes, I can sense something. And like they're often exhausted and like tired, and it's like same with like Pisces. Often have a lot of like psychic ability, and it's like, no, it's exhausting. Like being tapped into other shit all the time is like a lot. So it's like, so for people that can like that shadow work, like that like trauma, like all that like, or regrets, all the things we need to like work through in order to not have like baggage or whatever you want to call it. All the like, I think everyone has their own way of conjuring it. So if it's like, no, it's got to be in the moment, or it has to be like reactionarily brought back up, or I have my own way of bringing it back up, or like, then that can influence how somebody like creates their art, if their art comes from shadow work. Because there's other people who are like, no, I need to be like in a good headspace to create, whereas I'm like, I can be like just in the saddest of sad boy swings and crank out like 8 songs. Like most of my musical is me like blazing my room, be like hit record on my voice memos, and then like 30 minutes of nonsense, and then I'm like, perfect, wrote the first act, and the next day I'm like, 8 minutes of this is salvageable, but I have to be like the like miserable like teenage garage band like artist and his like Jeremy Piven from like producer as well, just being like, okay, like that's not quite it, but we're gonna get there because I think I see something in you.
All right, I love that. There was something I noticed in the second song. You have a pretty wide vocal range in terms of both pitch and color. Like not only can you really like stretch out range wise, but you also like you have a lot of different tonal options in your voice that I think a lot of people would simply love to have. And with the last song, "Boys," that you did, there was some gender questioning stuff, and I was wondering if you like made a conscious decision to explore different parts of your voice to make those parts of the song like hit home a little more. Or I mean, if you didn't, that's fine. It could just be some weird ass shit that I'm putting on the song. But like there was one moment, I can't think of the lyric. I had it, and then we talked about all this other cool shit. There was a point where you said, shit, I can't even remember what it was, but you immediately went to this really like much lighter color, and you jumped way up in your register, and it shone a very different light on the narrative tone of the song. And I was just wondering if that was something that you do consciously or something that just kind of happens.
I think that most of the time when I sing my songs, like I rarely like sometimes there's like some riffs or something that I will do the same every time, but most of the time, especially like I'm not a strong enough guitar player to play the song the same every time. So it's like whatever the bass is, whatever weird syncopation happens, like my voice is gonna follow that. I'm a much stronger singer than I am guitar player. But I've been on testosterone for 2 years, so my voice has undergone some pretty drastic vocal changes.
Oh, okay.
So when I wrote this song, it was long before I was on hormones. So it was just open like this. Like, boys, they make so much noise, but all belted. Like that was all like within, like that was all
right.
So I think first of all, that was a wild journey in general, just having to kind of rewrite my own songs for myself.
Yeah, right.
All in different keys, but since I use a lot of like weird jazz chords, and I'm self-taught on guitar, so it's a lot of like I don't know what this is, and I don't know like my scales enough to be like let's transpose like I do on piano. So I'm just like I can capo as far as I can, and then this song anymore. So this song was very much like me trying to find the places in which I was allowing myself to crack, because also I was self-conscious about cracking for a while, because that was a very telltale sign of like, oh, I'm on hormones and I can't really control when I crack. And so that was a journey of being like, I'm going to have to just kind of let that happen. I'm going to like, I didn't really like, I was very much like, I had like a gospel growl, but I didn't have like a really like any gravel to my voice before. I was very like classically and like musical theater trained. So I had like I was like, oh God, C4, C3. I was like F2 or like G2. No, that's wrong. G3 to like B flat 5. And now it's like shifted to more like C2 to like F5. So it's in that range. So it's changed a lot. So like my break is in a completely different place. So in that song, I think I had to find the places in which I was okay with it. And I think the parts in which I talk about comparing myself to my childhood, especially the O's, because like, because like the 3 O, like there's like the first one. Oh, this is also so nice. And they really like actually talk about like why I do the things I do in my songs.
Of course.
Thank you.
That's you know what? There are a bunch of fucking podcasts out there that are supposed to be about songwriting.
And they never talk about like, oh, I love how in this, like, I love being able to like talk to my boyfriend about Miley Cyrus's new album, and how like in "Give Me What You Want" there's a full like "In the Air Tonight" Phil Collins like drum fill. It's like I know what I need, but no one's like do 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 da 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 da. And I was like, not enough people are talking about the specifics.
Yeah, Miley knows. Miley knows. She knows what she's been hanging out with the Flaming Lips for a couple of years. She knows what's up.
Right, and then she got Jump Jet on that album. She got Billy Idol on that album. She got Stevie Nicks, Dua Lipa. Not in the same generation, but we love them.
I'm waiting for that Dua Lipa X Stevie Nicks record to come. No, I'm kidding.
Well, listen, she already did Studio 54 with Elton John, which I feel like is a very good pairing.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
I love talking about this songwriting shit. The more we talk about process, the more we're talking about specific moments, the happier I am, because we're all on this journey as writers, trying to get better at it, whatever the fuck that means. And the only way that we're going to get better at it is by hearing the way that more people do it. And in my mind, this is the teacher in me. Like I need to crawl under the hood or into the gears or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I need to see how the shit works.
Yeah.
In order to like A, appreciate it on a deeper level, and B, see what I can learn from it, you know? Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree. No, I can't. I come from very much like my dad's a musician, my uncles, like everyone in my family is either sings or plays an instrument or both. And my sister's a music teacher now. So I very much grew up in like we're going to talk about what just happened musically. My dad was very much like, we're not turning the car off until you can tell me what key signature this song is in. It's like, I just want to listen to Beyonce. But now when I got to college, I was like, oh, that was just music theory for years. So I'm very thankful for that. But, you know, I wish I had been given a little bit of context of like when you're old and confused, you'll need this information.
Right.
Yeah. But back to the ooze. All that digress like a motherfucker. But so yeah, in those ooze, I think I finally got to a place where I was like, I kept trying to option them down because everyone is higher than the last one. I also love riffing up, which is much harder to do with the voice I had now, than it was with the voice I had then. So like changing how like my riff reflexes has been hard. So this song was one where I really was like, I'm gonna let myself crack into like, or not even crack, really just like I'm gonna let people hear my flip, like hear myself flip from my chest voice into my falsetto. Because it really does put me back in this time period, because this is also one of my like more vulnerable but less like abstract songs. I very much like a character, like a scarecrow, you know, like, or like we're telling a story but I'm not the main character. Does the main character have my face and all my personality traits? Yes, but its name is Cleo and he's an ear of corn. He's not a man made out of flesh and blood, so you don't know it's me. It's like the tiniest degree of separation. But this was just like, yeah, I was a gay boy once, and like being trans and queer, it was like I was an AFAB, so like a signed female-bodied person who was attracted to male-bodied, like AFAB, like a signed male. So I was like a girl attracted to boys, and I was like, I guess I'm straight. I hate all this girl shit. And I wanted them to perceive me as a boy, but I also still wanted them to flirt with me like I was a girl. And my brain was like, I don't get it, but I'm a hope for a weird boy who's into it. And I was like, I'm actually just looking for gay men. Like, it's just looking for guys who are into guys. I didn't make it up. I just didn't know any. And so it was like just going back to that point. Like the song is very much going back to that place of like me like going down the street to like play with the boys who live down the street and being like, playing like Truth or Dare and being like, oh my God, like, oh, like I want them to wrestle, but then I still want them to like, I'm still gonna dare you to kiss me, and like really like playing with like the boundaries of what gender was, like not consciously at the time, because I was very much, I showed up in like, you know, M1 tracksuit, like J's, cornrows. I was like, hello, I want to look like Bow Wow, but you want to hold hands. And so these white boys were like, I'm confused, I don't know what you are, but no. And I was like, how could you do this to me, Ryan? And like, yeah, it was bad. So I think this song was really just me being like, everyone doesn't know what's going on. Like, because like, I mean, the tomboys weren't new, but it wasn't like, I didn't phase out of it really. I just kind of like started wearing girlier clothes in high school to just stop getting bullied as much. I was just like, it's not worth it. I was like, and I liked shopping after like the scene phase came in. I was like, oh, I like clothes now. These are fun clothes. So I'll go shopping. And then that immediately stopped. Like the people that I started hanging out with didn't wear that. And so I was like, oh, I guess I'm wearing like Uggs and like a North Face jacket and like sweatpants to school. And then I got to college and I was like, I hate everything about myself. And then I was like, oh, I forgot that I haven't been myself. And since I was that little boy, like with cornrows, like blushing at the boy across the street. And it's like, wow, like when I go back to who I really was, I was just this like bashful, gay little boy, just like selling rocks on the corner of my street and asking boys to dance with me. And so like I wanted to try to like I feel like cracking there was really just kind of like, yeah, I can I've done a lot and I've changed a lot and I've learned a lot. But at the end of the day, like when I have a crush on somebody, it doesn't feel much different from when I was like 10.
Wild. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love that you're able to go there in the song. I mean, it's really great, especially if you do deal so much more with that tiny separation between you and the ear of corn. It is not, it's nice to every once in a while have a song that's just like, it's me.
Yeah,
and
like no veil. It's like,
and it works. It's a beautiful song. It's really, really special. I mean, and it even has like a chorus. What the fuck are you talking about? Like that song almost is a pop song. You got to be fucking careful there.
I know.
I was almost ready to sing along with the last.
So, I love a sing along. I've had so many dreams of a stadium where there's so many people singing along with me. I have 3 Leo placements. Drag me in the comments.
That's the one. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first time I really had not really played that for people for like years after I wrote it. And then I was at like a little like queer like concert party. I was at like I think it was a Troubadour Lounge. And then I played, I was like, oh, I guess I'll play this. And then like I look up from like, playing it over my guitar and everyone's just like weeping, being like, why don't you play that more? And I was like, because it shows everyone I have feelings that are not Brechtian and I don't want to talk about it.
Can you talk a little bit about that Troubadour Lounge scene? Because as a cishet white dude, it was obviously something that I was never really, I don't want to say I was disinvited to, but it wasn't something that was meant for me. So I was kind of like, I wanted to give people the space they needed to do their thing without my fucking face getting involved. But, from afar, just having enough queer friends on socials and seeing people come in and out of Troubadour Lounge. Can you talk a little bit about what playing there and what that scene looked like? And I mean, I shouldn't say looked like it's never going to happen again. Fucking
sure, right.
COVID fucked everything. There's no reason to believe that especially in a post-COVID world where things probably are going to be smaller and more intimate and in many ways more beautiful, that something like that could rise up again. But can you talk about it a little bit? I'm being as like personally curious as talk show hosty right now.
Yeah, I think so. I played it twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I played it twice. Once by myself, and then once was like a reunion, like posts, like people who have played it before, and me and Sam Rosen played together because we went to college together. So
I didn't know that. We've
been friends for. I think Sam's watching.
Word. Sam Rosen, when you coming on the show? Sam Rosen, when are you coming on the show? I sent you an Instagram message a couple months ago. Never heard back from you. What the fuck?
Oh my god. We'll say Sam is currently being a does something for school, so is essential. So it's out here on the front lines. Jesus,
I feel it.
Of COVID. I don't know if they're literally on the front lines, but they have been having to deal with the nonsense of going in and out of school. So like,
same. What's up?
Tiny Digital, we love her. Like, go off. I love Sam Rosen. Let the record show. But anywho, Sam Rosen scrambles the brain, and now all I can think of is her adorable.
We were talking about the Troubadour Lounge.
Yes, Troubadour Lounge. So I played once. I think it was like it was very much like a very sweet vibe. Very much like I didn't go to a lot of house parties. You can be surprised I was not invited to a great many in high school. Yeah, I was that kid. I was like, weed, that would ruin my voice. I'm a singer. Things have changed. But it very much felt like just kind of like a house party of like, oh my god, whose cheese plate is this? And then it's like, and we have a lineup. And so it was very like if you didn't know, like I feel like the first time I went, I maybe went with like one other person. And by the time we left, we had like 18 people's Instagrams, like 2 plans to hang out. Like it was like a place where I felt like I could network without it being like, so I'm in advertising. Like it didn't feel like networking, but like what makes me like afraid of NYU students. Like one makes you want to like avoid Western Commons. Like,
oh my god.
Yeah. So it was actually like, of course, every space could be blacker and more trans, but Knew that going into it. So that's just like an overall, every single space could be blacker, and there are black spaces. I just think that that's a whole other conversation, like, because it's like, well, you know. But anyway, I would have loved to see more people that weren't white there, so that would have been great. But overall, the music was amazing. I think that they had a great job of showing like a very wide breadth of queer music. There was like full on like stand-up bass, boobity boop, like jazz, which I was like very much freaking out for because I love jazz. And then you had like, you know, rapping, and you had your sad boy singer-songwriters, and like electronic-y stuff. Like, it was, I am terrible at describing genre. I don't think it's real. Similar to time and genre, they don't really exist.
No.
Yeah, but I did enjoy it. I think, it's really hard to think about it in a post-COVID world because it was so much like we're going into somebody's, like, whoever of the production people had the biggest apartment. Right. So like that's just a hard kind of model to put up, but also like every small Brooklyn recurring thing is a hard thing to start back up because everyone was like, we have the back room of this garden apartment and we're gonna put 800 people in here to listen to me play the spoons, and it's like iconic, but no, like, I would pay to watch somebody hand bone in like a basement. That sounds fun. Yeah,
I'm 100% waiting for those moments. You know, I need those moments to come back.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like I think if they were like, everything's back open tomorrow, COVID's okay, and you can go wherever you want, it would still take me months before I felt comfortable going into a bar without being like, are we sure?
Yeah, right.
Like standing at the door, being like passing my tips for the drag queen like through the window, just like in a paper airplane, just tossing it through. Like, I wouldn't feel actually comfortable being there. So as much as I miss it, it's like, I was my partner and our friend Ember were talking about just like having to mourn, you know, a type of nightlife that just probably will never happen again. In the same capacity. I'm sure there will be big rambunctious parties. I'm sure gays will be allowed to be nasty again. Make gay America nasty again, whatever. But I do think that there's like a part of it where it's like so much of what made the vibe what it was the space. And I think I'm like during pandemic, I'm becoming so much more grateful for space and just having it, truly just fucking having it.
If you allow me, I can put a different spin on that. That I think you'll enjoy.
Yes.
I live in the Florida of Brooklyn. That's what my wife and I call it.
Is that Bay Ridge?
No. Bay Ridge. I got priced out of Bay Ridge, dude. I lived in Bay Ridge for 10 years. No, I live in a neighborhood called Marine Park.
Oh, okay.
It is
far off location wise.
It is some deep ass Brooklyn shit. Unless you're going to Kings Plaza Mall or you passing through on the way to Reese. There's no reason to come to my neighborhood.
Kings Highway, I've been to the Kings Highway stop a decent amount.
Okay.
Watching a dog.
So the Kings Highway stop is the closest Q train to me. And it is a 25-minute walk. We live in the Florida of Brooklyn. Motherfuckers walking around like COVID ain't a thing. And it's bad news. Like, this neighborhood votes red. It's fucking crazy. Don't even get me started. But here's what I can say. In a neighborhood like this, where we do have circles of friends, because I have kids in public school here.
Sure.
You know, I'm a public employee. I'm a teacher, so I have lots of friends in neighborhoods like this. I will say that pandemic outed a bunch of the crazy, like, reckless motherfuckers.
Yes.
And now I know who I love and who I can really trust.
Talk about that.
And like, here's the thing, like, I'm less likely, let's say 8 months from now, we're at like 90% of the population vaccinated. Right.
Crossed.
And things are, exactly. Fingers crossed. I'm not going to some fucking shitty ass bar in the East Village to stand shoulder to shoulder with some NYU motherfuckers who got COVID 6 times because they wouldn't stop partying. But you know what? When my friend says we have a fucking house concert and there's only going to be 20 people here, I kind of know that the 20 people that they're bringing through are going to be the 20 people that I can trust.
Yeah.
The 20 people I know that have been socially responsible. So maybe I wonder, because part of this, and it's something we talked about when we tried to reopen school in September. We talked a lot about being frank about our different levels of caution and with one another as a staff in order to make everything work. So we didn't seem weird in front of the kids. Different people are operating with different levels of caution. And in having that conversation, I feel like I've brought that into some other spheres. And in having it, it's felt sometimes like, you know, it's like setting up a larger system of trust.
Yeah.
Like there's certain questions maybe we're not going to be as afraid to answer, or ask when we're going into a social place.
Yeah.
You're like, I need to know, like, let's say 3 months from now, a bunch of us, but not all of us, have been vaccinated. I need for you to be like willing to answer me out loud whether or not you have been and how you feel about hanging out with people that have or who have not been. That's how I felt through most of the summer when things were looking a little better there for a minute.
Yeah.
I felt like every day it was kind of like, how honest is the world going to be with me?
Yeah. It's like, people can always just lie about the level of exposure.
Exactly. And I feel like maybe the other side of what you're saying is that because we're going to be more open and willing to talk about these things. I mean, this is probably some fucking Northeast liberal fantasy nonsense. But like, I know that there are conversations that happen in my classroom that have never happened before.
Oh yeah, I mean,
and a lot of it has to do, believe it or not only with the fact that some of this country decided to fucking actually talk about race for a hot minute, but the pandemic also was in some ways, and please shit on my privilege if you need to in the middle of this sentence. It was in some ways an equalizer that forced people to reckon with things that they wouldn't have had to alongside other people. And
I think that there was like fully like just because for the first time in like damn near 100 years, America actually had to stop, even if it was like for a moment. And in that time, it's like, that's the thing. It's like, there's this idea of it being like, oh, we've like finally like started talking about it. And it's like, what actually happened is it's like activists that have been working towards liberation for decades finally took this moment that was like, and also like the combination of a powder keg and people who have been working for a long time being like, oh, is everyone stopped? Like, has capitalism, like a cog stopped? So like, we have a moment. Let's talk about the fact that everyone should like abandon their posts. And then people were like, oh, and I like this job. And it's like, yeah, but somebody else is being murdered by that same job. So it's like, I think that there was just a lot of like, yes, exposure was great. But I think that while March through July, maybe August, was like, we're going to get stuff done. The minute that the Trump boat really started to sink, everyone was like, well, once we get Biden in the White House, everything's fixed. And it's like, no, the fuck it ain't. Like, who said that? Like, who said that? I sure as hell didn't. I have not gotten a single check from this government for the pandemic. My bad luck. I changed my credit and I changed my bank like a month before the pandemic happened. So I was like, oh, and I'll just change all of my stuff over when I do my taxes. And then they were like, sorry, everything shut down. So they still think that I live at the wrong address and they think I have a different bank account. So they've just been sending it to somewhere, and I've been calling for 12 months. And it's like, and I know I'm not the only person. I mean, I'm sure you remember the 2 months of like half of New York is unemployed and no one can get someone on the phone. I was on the phone for 2 months. I know people that were on the phone for much longer than me. So it's like, yeah, the fact that just even in the microcosm of my community, I can see how much the government is failing. The fact that they think that this man who is already reneging $600 from what he said he was going to do, because he said $2,000 a person, and now he's saying $1,400. Where did that other $6 go? I don't know where it went. Was it on the fireworks for the Katy Perry display? Did you see that nonsense?
I didn't actually.
Bombs were going off in DC. The babies were I'm sure the babies of DC were upset. Go and watch the propaganda that is Katy Perry's firework on inauguration night. 5 minutes of nonstop American nonsense.
Do I have to?
I guess you want a really good laugh because you're just like, oh, more fireworks. Oh, wow. Oh, the plume of smoke. Oh, my God. It's laughable. But also don't give it the views. So, if you can watch it in clips on somebody's Snapchat story, that's the way to that's the way to get that scoop.
Oh, Katy Perry. Oh, Katy Perry.
Oh, Katy Perry.
You know what?
Tour.
What? You saw her
on Warped Tour.
On Warped Tour. Nice.
Yeah, when she was dating Travis McCoy from Gym Class Heroes. That's what. Yeah. 12 was a wild year.
Oh, Katy Perry. My nephew fucking loves Katy Perry. He loves Katy Perry. And
does he just like start sliding more like Lady Gaga? Just start with like
he loves Gaga. That's just
okay. As long as he also loves Gaga, I can live with that.
He is largely into white pop queens. He loves Madonna. He is. He's 12. He's 12. Yo, this kid.
Yeah, old queen. Go on.
Well, here's the thing. He was all about like Katy Perry and a couple other people, like when he was 7, 8 years old, because that was pop that was on the radio. And he was there for it. And he loved it. And he knew the dances, and he knew the songs. And as he's gotten a little older and a little more intellectual about his music tastes, and just because he's a big thinker and collector, he's like, well, this is the next logical step. I'm going to listen to this. And so like he has this massive like collection of Madonna 7-inch singles.
Wow.
That's like what this kid wants to spend whatever money he has on. He wants to go out record shopping, and he'll tell you about every fucking edition of the new Katy Perry record that came out in August. Like, well, the Target edition had these 2 tracks, but the Spotify exclusive version has this other track. And I'm like, that's fucking cool that you know that. So he's got Katy Perry. He loves Madonna. He loves Michael. He loves Prince. Finally, it took him a minute to come around to Prince. He hasn't
sleeper for some youth.
Yeah, well, he's 12. He hasn't come around to Janet yet, and that's kind of the one I'm waiting for, because that's where
the industry's fault. That is misogyny and racism's fault. Yeah. That is Justin Timberlake's fault.
I've been with, like, if you want to pick somebody from that era that I've been riding with for the last like 2 years or so, it's been Janet. That's where I've been. So I've been like, I've been trying to push it. I was like, I remember one time I took him shopping at a used record store. And I was like, Uncle Chris is going to buy you some things, but you have to buy these other things. I was like, you can have this, and this. And I was like, but this is non-negotiable. You are taking this home. And one of the things was Rhythm Nation. And it was only because they didn't have a copy of Control used. But I was like, you're taking Rhythm Nation home because you have to, or you don't get the other CDs. So, and
I'm like, I'm so glad to hear that there's kids like that still, because I was definitely like a kid who listened to older music. Like, I listened to music that was on the radio, but like the only like current artist that I would say that I was a fan of regularly growing up was like Adele. I loved Amy Winehouse. I loved Baby Bash. Ti. Like I loved trap, which is hilarious. Just because like. The first era, I was like 8, so it's like, what do I know? It was like that, like R&B. So it's like 90s like R&B, and it's like I ain't never been left by a woman that I have been stringing along for a long time. Like Usher's Confessions should not have hit me at like 9. But I wore that album out. I'm like, I ain't got one chick on the side, I got one on the way. It's not true. Like, and I'm like, and I don't know what to. Yeah, but besides that, my dad and my uncle. My dad's a jazz musician. My uncle is a jazz and a classical musician. So I really grew up listening to a lot of classical music and like
nice.
So I was very much like that kid that was like, who wants to listen to Ella Fitzgerald? And it's Sarah Vaughan, anyone? And they were like, no.
See, that's where I'm going to get him eventually. That's like my plan. Because like
back.
Yeah, well, because like now he's gone back and he's like Beatles. And I was like, yeah, John Lennon beat the shit out of both of his wives, but fine, listen to their songs. But my game plan is like when he tires that out, I'll be like, well, what were the Beatles listening to?
Right. What about the black people that inspired all these people that you're such big fans of?
And that, I grew up in a predominantly white suburb. Luckily, not 100%. but he is in a white suburb, and I hope that music is his way of discovering the fact that there are cultures that are like just there are fucking other cultures directly around him. Because
that's the thing. It's like you had to actually go a while to find.
Yeah.
I lived in western upstate New York, so it was like it's gonna be red for a while. Like you have to drive 6 hours to get to New York and find people who are like, "This is what trans is," and also it's okay that you're brown. It's wild to think that it's like, no, all you have to do is get on a train and you'll see some like black trans activists like on a corner. Like they're everywhere. You'll see so many different people. So like. I would never have thought that New York was so segregated like that. But then my mom's from Selma, so I learned very young that like everywhere is segregated. No, we did not unsegregate. Do not let them trick you.
It's fucking crazy. There's a good New York Times, for what it's worth, New York Times map out there that's just a race density map. Based on census information, so you can see in color, no pun intended. You can see where like the racial divides are in New York City, and a predominantly black neighborhood is like super red, and more of a mixed neighborhood is kind of red, and maybe a white neighborhood's yellow. I forget what the colors actually are.
Yeah,
but it's one of those like really nice looking New York Times graphics, and I live 10 blocks from Flatbush Avenue. Okay. And Flatbush Avenue down here is the most crazy ass dividing line in the fucking universe. Like, and here's the other thing. It's not even like it's a weird situation where it's not even a huge class dividing line. It's just race. Like,
I assume it's both.
Yeah. I live in a middle class white neighborhood. Like, firefighters live in this neighborhood. Teachers live in this neighborhood. Like union employees in New York. This is the white side of it. Once you cross Flatbush Avenue, it's the same economic class of people. It's just immediately black. It is the wildest shit in the universe. And like the fact that it can still be that way in fucking 2021. But my wife.
It's like my understanding and integration is very different. Just like in the sense of like, I went to a high school that was very much like in 1965 racism was defeated, and then Martin Luther King saved the world at the end. Like and Malcolm X was dangerous, and it's a good thing we got rid of him. It's a good thing that he was thwarted by his own nonsense. Like all that kind of stuff, and it's like, it's actually the government that killed the Black Panthers, but that's here and there. But I think more as my mom being from like born and raised in Selma, she was very much like, I was born 5 years. I was born the year that she was born in 65, and she went to an all black high school, and all of her siblings went to everyone she knew went to and so it's like the schools never integrated. Like they just were, oh no, there's no white people in this area. They all moved to a different, but still in the same county of this town, and it's like. The same thing, like we were the only, like me and like my other family members who lived in my like subdivision were the only black people in that subdivision. Like the other black kids that went to my school were either like the only black family in their subdivision, or they lived in like the projects, like that were like near like a down the way. I don't know street.
Yeah.
But so it was like it's drastic. And like I remember my grandfather talking about how Buffalo, like they made these like they made these projects specifically to put the black people there. So he was like, of course they didn't see any white people. They didn't make the houses I was living in for them. So it's like, and that was in that was in 1940, and he was like, yeah, that shit's still there.
Yep.
So it's like there's this idea that because, and then it's like, I bet like, you know, if you looked at a graph of like, 1965 of like, just good old telling black people they can't vote to like voter fraud coming out of nowhere as being a thing we have to keep an eye on. Sure, the Venn diagram would be a goddamn circle. Because I like the Selma Museum and being like, this is a jar of marbles. If you can't guess how many are in there, you can't vote. Like that kind of shit. So it's like being like, oh, I'm so sorry. Everywhere except for your tiny town, right. Bullshit can vote. And it's like, yeah, like so. I think like 2020 going back, like 2020 was a good year to be like, not like so much less has changed than what the American government would like its white populace and everyone. Of course, they would love for the brown people to be brainwashed as well. But more importantly, for their white populace to think that it's gotten better and that we just have a few kinks to iron out instead of like the knot has just continued to get more tangled as was intended.
Yeah, intended. That's the key word there. Fucking intended.
Yeah.
This shit was planned.
Oh, so much of it was planned. That was another part of 2020 was like deconstructing my Hamilton obsession because I was a musical theater kid when Hamilton came out, and I was like, there's brown people rapping, and we auditioned. Like me and my friends were all black. We all went to a casting call, and then in the good year of 2020, we were like, so this is some propaganda we maybe wouldn't have thought of when we were 20.
Yeah.
It's very much like, let's take these slave owners and make them cool so that people don't remember that they're owning slaves. Because as the people, I remember learning like the Civil War is also called the last war of the American Revolution. And I was like, oh, words? So they were talking about ending slavery for 87 years? 87 years? They were like, are we sure? And then they finally got around to talking about it for some other political bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like, no, so all these like homies that are supposed to be really down with the shit because he figured out how to make capitalism America or America capitalism, they're synonymous at this point.
Yes.
He cheated, and that's why the Capitol's in DC. And also we're gonna put all the dark-skinned men in like these like either characters in which they are like vilified because they try and they fail, or they're just kind of like monkeyish. He erases the entire fact that Hamilton was gay and in love with another character that was in the show.
Yeah, well, that would have been.
It wasn't like Lynn was like, oh, I didn't know. He was like, yeah, I knew. And he gets like oh, it's sad my lover's dead. The cats, and it's like no, and so having to go through that and watch it again and being like, wow, so much Kool-Aid coursing through my veins. Like, how did I do it? How did I live this long with no blood and only Kool-Aid?
Yeah, that was a tough one. The Hamilton was a tough reckoning to have. I'm glad,
like it was there the whole time. Like it was that way. It's not like it was like some rewrites to make it extra saucily racist. Like it was that the whole time. And I really just ate it up with a spoon.
Yeah.
I'm proud of it.
We all did. Or most of us did.
No, my roommate, unfortunately, was like, no, I always was more of an In the Heights fan. I remember they were like, well, thank God you're the one perfect person who didn't give a fuck about Hamilton. I'm just jealous because I wish I had the foresight to realize it was bullshit then. Would have been so cool to be like, in 5 years, you're going to be like, this is bad. But I'll never that. I'm always
in the Heights.
Yeah. That would be nice, but hindsight's 2020 and I'm already wearing glasses, so we all know that's not true.
Oh yeah. So you write songs?
I do. I did stand up for a year, and my teacher was like, "You're so bad at segues. Maybe you should put that in your act that you're bad at them." So I just got rid of them. I would just be like, "End of joke," and then I'd be like, "Here's Tyra Banks, but Scottish," and I'd do that for a little bit, and then just go into the next joke. I'm just not good at them in life, in comedy, in romance, none of it.
Well, How about this? We're gonna try something.
Okay.
You and I are gonna shut the fuck up, which apparently we are not capable of doing. And you're gonna play songs. Play us 2 more songs.
All right.
I'm gonna shut up and move away now.
All right, this one also from the Scarecrow musical. It's called Scarecrow. I'm gonna go ahead and keep trying to add other names onto it. It's called "And Then the Sun Comes Out," and so a little pre-Diddy. It's about, it's imagine a scarecrow in a field, and it's just that kind of depressed when you're like, oh, it's just kind of static in my head, and I don't really think anything. And then just that breath of fresh air, and you're like, oh, like I'm a little bit not in the dumps, so I can like think again, and like words come back, like language returns, and that's kind of what I'm playing with. And then the sun comes out. And then the sun comes out. And then the sun, when it's all said and done. And then the sun comes out and goes back behind the clouds. Then the sun comes out. Then the sun comes out. And then the sun, when it's all said and done. Then the sun comes out, but goes back behind the clouds. And then the sun comes out. And then the sun comes out. And then the sun, when it's all said and done. And then the sun comes out, but goes back behind the clouds. And then the sun comes out, and then the sun comes out, and then the sun, when it's all said and done, and then the sun comes out. Whew, God, it's hot in my room. Monterey. That good old tap water. This last song, I guess he said to play too. So is Scarecrow. Oh nope, wrong. It would make sense if I was going to play Scarecrow after all this, but it makes my hands hurt, and I don't feel like putting my guitar into crazy tuning to do all that. So I'm playing Starless. A lot of my songs start with S's. I don't know what that's about. And this is just. It's my oldest song that like I ever finished. That was like, oh, this actually like that wasn't like a piano 4-person, musical theater thing that I was like, oh wow, this is like a song and could be, poppy if one were to put a moniker on such a thing. So Starless. Woke up with a crick in my neck, but that was nothing new, just another pain to power through. Every morning's getting worse until the levee has to burst. Call a friend or said all to bed, but they don't answer, 'cause they have so much better to do than listen to what you have to say. But don't worry, I don't do it anyway. Losing sight of the sunlight in the rain. That's what music do to all the pain. Give me one good reason why I should fight. I never end up doing anything right. I did my best for us with all my mind, but I'm caught in a starless night. Caught in a starless night. Start and stop. Keep going till the pressure drops. Breathe in and out and in and out, and I know not why time wastes itself on me. I don't deserve identity. I won't demand sanity. Just a reprieve. Losing sight of the sunlight in the rain. Deaf to music due to all the pain. Give me one good reason why I should fight. I never end up doing anything right. I did my best for us with all my might, but I'm caught in a starless night. Caught in a starless night. exhausted, but it's fine. I was never good at keeping nice things in mind. I'll repay it with my mind, though it's frail and my soul is pale from time to time. Fuck you. You say you're here to help and that I should love myself, but that's not true. Trash is thrown away, not given a holiday. So when you say that I'm sweet and kind, I think that you're just fucking with my mind. I'm not a fool, no, not today. I know you're lying, and if that's the case, then I'll stay. Go away. Lock the door and throw away the key. Get space and time away from me. Losing sight of the sunlight in the rain. That's your music due to all the pain. Give me one good reason why I should fight. I never end up doing anything right. I never end up doing anything right. I never end up doing anything I'm caught in a starless night. I'm caught in a starless night. I'm caught in a starless. Caught in.
Nice. Wes Graham, that was fantastic. I love how long both of those songs were. I felt like I could really get inside them.
Thank you. They're on the shortest side.
The way, the theater elements, I guess you'd say, in the second song, even, which was, you said, more of a straight ahead song, you're so clearly acting the song, which is something that I find myself often very afraid to do in the context of being a songwriter. Even when I write a song that has nothing to do with who I am, I feel like rather than inhabiting the role of that narrator, I always just kind of perform it as me. And watching you do this, it's so exciting. I kind of wonder, like, maybe I should stop doing that shit and get a little more theatrical when I perform. Who knows? You know.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you saying that, because it's so funny, because as a person who's done a lot of musical theater, like straight ahead, like classical stuff, I always thought I wasn't a very good like actor, in the sense of like, it was really hard for me to get my lines, and I was always like unable. I just thought I was always more suited to improv, in the sense of like, I always know it's me. I'm like, I can never like get myself into it. Like, it would either be so far that I'm like unwell, and I'm like, I'm remembering my trauma, and they're like, okay, so you're gonna have a panic attack every time you come to rehearsal, or it's like I'm on stage and I'm like, guys, we both know that I'm not this doctor. Like, I'm Graham. Hello, everyone. And so it's like I either can't believe myself enough. I feel like it's hard because people will tell me that I'm better than I think I am, which doesn't help. Like I don't enjoy it for the majority of the time. So like singing is the only time where I really enjoy acting because I don't think about it. Like I just don't know what else to do with my face besides move them around that much. And I think that like specifically Starless, the last song I played, I wrote it when I was in such a dark place. And so now when every time I play it, I'm farther away from where I was. So it's more fun to play the older I get. Cause I'm like, oh, what a sad boy he was. Like, what a bummer the song this is. But it's interesting because it's like my favorite thing about like classical music is sometimes it's like, oh, this song sounds so sad. And it's like, this is actually a marriage song. And it's like, and then it's like, this song sounds so beautiful. And it's like, this is about losing your wife. Or like, this is about the Black Plague. And it's like, so major and minor is not the king of what's happy and sad is. So like this song, even though it has like, melancholic chords to it, has enough pop. Or like, just like, I don't mean that in like the genre way. I mean, it's like physical, like it has enough like brightness to it that by the end of it, it is a song that like cheers me up if I'm not feeling good.
Oh, word.
A song that bums me out because it reminds me of that time.
Right. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we've been doing this for like close to 2 hours.
God. Is it almost 11? That's Narnia.
It really is. Yes, it's fucking insane. This is going to be, I think, the second longest show that I've done so far. And I'm not complaining at all, even one little bit, because it's been good to hang out. It's been good to hear you talk about shit and teach me things, which is why I do this. Yeah, well, it's awesome hearing you. I will say this to the people that are still hanging out and watching. If you are here because you know Wes Graham, but you happen to stumble onto me, I'm Chris Q. Murphy. Why don't you go give me a follow? I do these shows every Tuesday. And if you're here because you know me and you just have met Wes for the first time, then make sure you head over to Instagram and follow at KG Klondike. It's right there on the screen so you can see what he is up to from moment to moment and as he gets into more of his creative endeavors and his life as an astrology expert. You can get in on that action as well. Are there any last thoughts you'd like to send into the world before we sign off for tonight?
Yes. First, are you? Oh gosh, I'm so afraid of being wrong. But are you a Leo?
I'm not a Leo.
Oh.
But I have not looked up my whole chart. I can only tell you what my sun sign is.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead and do that now, or do you want a second guess?
The Aries?
I am an Aries.
Okay, I was between because I was like, if you said you're grounded, you're definitely not a Sagittarius. But I was just like, is it grounding? So your grounding doesn't come from that, but you're very much like, go get it. Like if there's something to be started, I don't mind starting it. That's very Aries.
I don't know. I often wonder how my sign plays into my life because I don't think I'm super Aries like often. Then again, like I don't know what my rising and moon signs are. Maybe they have more of a pull on my day to day.
Listen, I can pull that up so fast.
Can you really? What do you need to know?
Okay, give me 2 seconds.
This is fun.
I know. This is my favorite thing to do.
Well, then let's do it.
Right, because the amount of people that I've been able to be like, they're like, I don't believe in this, and by the end, I'm like, so this is why you have a tricky relationship with your dad. And they're like, and I'm like, yeah, you said that it didn't matter. But when people are just like, oh, like, it's just 12. How could 12 things be right? I'm like, yeah, but when you place them over like 40 different placements, you could be a bajillion things.
Yeah.
But okay, so what I need is your birth time.
Okay, 4:55 p.m.
Okay.
Oh no, yes, 4:55 p.m.
5. Okay, and what's your birthday?
April 9th.
Okay.
Same as one of my sons. How fun.
And what you have the same birthday as one of your sons?
I do.
That's adorable. Oh,
Best
what's
birthday gift ever. My older son was born on the same day. My first son.
That's adorable.
It's pretty. Oh, I gotta tell you what year I was born, don't I? This old ass man that could have been your teacher in school. I was born in 1977.
Oh my. Okay, that's like not like you were making it seem like it was gonna be. Oh my God, that. Okay, I don't know why this is making it so difficult to find the right year. There it is, 77. No, that's like 14. And where?
Where?
Mm-hmm. It's the city.
Somerville, New Jersey. Hospital in Somerville, New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. Somerville, 1M?
Yeah, one. SOM. SOME.
Summer.
SOMERville.
Got Somerville, New Jersey. Okay. It's happening. The computer is computing. Oh, that's why you don't want to go nowhere. Because you're okay, so you're an Aries Sun, Capricorn Moon, Libra rising.
Okay.
Yes. Actually, I'm just gonna take a screenshot of this and send it to you because this
cool
is information. And it's
yeah.
Here. And just I mean, I am gonna send top 3 to you right now, but
I'm excited.
So Capricorn, I have a lot of Capricorn moons in my life. My mom is a Capricorn moon. My roommate is a Capricorn moon. Capricorn is an earth sign, is a cardinal earth sign, so it's all about like also lets you have all of your placements are cardinal. So there's 3 modalities you can be. You can be fixed, mutable, or cardinal. Fixed is what it sounds, you're set in your ways, you like routine, you like things that have worked before. Mutable, you like how changeable life can be, and you find comfort in the fact that you can try a different thing every day. And cardinal signs just like initiative action. They're the ones that are like, I don't want it to stay the same. I don't want it to be all over the place. I just want it to keep going. I just want some consistency. And so your sun sign is a fire cardinal sign. Your moon sign is an earth cardinal sign, and your rising sign is an air cardinal sign. So you're pretty balanced out, but overall you're very much like I want like you. It's actually very balanced because like you're like a Libra rising is very much like they're very personable. They're very much like hi, hello. I want to meet people. I want to create connections. Like it does, and it's connections across the spectrum. It's like I want to be perceived as like put together and not always fashionable, but it's like I want to be seen as likable. And it doesn't mean but it's not the same thing as wanting to be well liked, but it's like you want to be seen as approachable and somebody who's like, oh, I'm here for a good time. I really do want to just connect. You really want to just like have like meet a lot of different people.
Come to my show.
Yeah. And the Aries is very much like, especially when it comes to Aries, it's like your sun sign. It's very much committed to like your life's purpose. It's like the way people talk about it. So in that sense, Aries is very much like this go-getter, and so it can get misconstrued as like hot-headed, like goes like just like no patience, any of those things. But like a mature Aries is very much like I know what I want, and so that's what I'm going for. And they're like, if the Leo is like a hero, the Aries is like a leader, where it's like you can follow me if you want, but I'm not doing this for the sake of you following me. Like I'm doing this because I want to go. Like I have to keep going forward. Rather than it being like, come on, the Libra just makes it easier for people to follow you. Like your rising is like, hello, this is a safe space. Do you want to go where I'm going? You're welcome to. Like, but I'm not like making this a roller coaster. Like I'm not making it like a curated ride. Besides like my specific people, Aries are very much like the people I fuck with are like on my journey with me. Besides that, they're kind of tangential. No hard feelings. It's just I can't focus that much more attention besides where my brain is right now. And Capricorn moon is work is paramount. I don't feel comfortable relaxing. I would like to be just like, and it's like, or if I'm relaxing, I need to feel like I've earned it. Like I did all the things on my list today, so I'm having that third beer, and no one's gonna tell me I'm not. But if you're like, I didn't finish my work for today, like there is no relaxing. You're just like, I'm sleeping until I work tomorrow. Like I am recharging. I'm not relaxing. Like. I feel like Capricorn moons have to like, there will always be another like task. So it's like if you don't create spaces for yourself in which you're like, I'm just not gonna work right now. I could in theory do this labor. I could in theory like provide this service, but it will be there tomorrow, and I haven't had a break in months. So like that's, I feel like Capricorn moons definitely have that lesson. So the way that kind of interacts with your Aries sun is that it's like what you it's like a lot of like high spark passions about things. Like, oh, I get like I'm very, very interested in this. And then it's like, okay, if I'm interested in this, I better commit to it then, because like I'm not gonna waste all my time and energy around this thing if it's not gonna be something I'm committed to. And so then it's like the Aries being like, how do I keep it fun and exciting while the Capricorn is able to be like, how do I make it stable? Like, how do I keep it? It can be fun and exciting, but if it's too exciting, it's not going to be a livelihood anymore. But if I'm too strict with it, it's not going to be fun anymore. So it's like you have two signs that are able to kind of balance out like the work and the play side. Like there's like an analyticality. I don't know if that's a word, but there's like an analyzing nature to like the charge, if that makes sense. It's like what you want, you're very much like, okay, like I'm gonna like dissect how to get there and then go. Like I'm gonna plan effectively and then do the thing.
Okay. Interesting. As you said all this, I wondered if anybody's done any work comparing astrological charts and Myers-Briggs personality type indicators.
I'm sure there has, and I'm curious about that all the time. I haven't remembered my Myers-Briggs since I was like in middle school. So it would just like, I think I'm just gonna have to find somebody who is the Myers-Briggs of astrology. Like for me, where I'm like, I know about the planets and the stars. And they're like, I know about the letters and the numbers. And then we'll be able to like convene and talk about similarities 100%.
Yeah, I'm wondering what that Venn diagram looks like. And I have to imagine that the people that, even though they wind up determining or explaining a lot of the same things, they come from incredibly different places, right?
Yeah, same with like numerology. It's like there's like life path versus like astrology is just kind of like, this is the energy that like, because your birth chart is literally like, this is a snapshot of what the sky looked like when you were born. And like the basic like logic around astrology is just like, oh, like the same way that we accept that like the moon has control of the tide, like controls the tides. And we're like, that is literally just a gravitational pull from another body. And it's like, first of all, we're 70% water, and second of all, it's like if like something that is 30 times bigger than the Earth is to the west of your body when you're born versus being to the east of your body when you're born, that's gonna change your like how you operate in this paradigm. So it's like, and so obviously like there's gonna be broader generalizations the further you go. So it's like your sun sign, a Leo season, any season's only like about a month, versus like the moon sign changes every couple of days, versus your rising sign changes every couple of hours. So you keep getting more and more specific. So then when you find somebody, that's why when it's like, oh my God, you also have this like sun and moon and rising, it's like, that's when you start finding like parallels and friends, because you're like, oh, I could like nothing else about your lives would have told me why you're so similar except for that.
Interesting.
That's what's so cool about it. Like I found like there's like I have my partner's old roommate and our friend from college both have the same like sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. It's like 6 placements exactly the same. And there are some ways in which they're like eerily similar, and other ways where it's like they're completely different, because astrology is like, this is what you come into the world with, and then nurture does a whole bunch of other shit to you. And that's what the houses are about. And that's when you get into like, I'm a Leo, but I'm like a Leo from a wealthy family. So it's like, oh, I feel like if Leos are like, the stereotype is like, oh, they're, attention hogs, and they love this, they need validation and attention. And it's true. I love it. I love attention. But like somebody like a Leo with immense resources and doesn't really have much of a like theater for like guilt or any of those things is going to be much more like in that braggadocio space than a Leo that might have had much more impoverished beginning. So they're like, oh, like my need for validation really like that's not why I can't really focus on that right now. Like I don't have really space. And so other things might have taken precedence. So that's another thing where it's like, that's me reading your chart with like not much basis of like you as a person, like the life that you've lived. Whereas like when I know a little bit more about a person, it's like, so for me, my moon's in Scorpio, very different from Leo's sun. If Leo's sun is like Superman, then Scorpio moon is Batman. Leo, it's like, I'm here to help. Everything can be okay. Versus Scorpio, like everything's terrible and it's probably your fault, and I'm the only one that can fix it. And it's like, wow, just a bummer of a person, huh? Like just like a bad, like a pessimist. So, like for me, I know that because I had like a very childhood, I rely more on my Scorpio moon for like emotional protection than somebody that had a different, because it is so jaded already in that placement. It's a very intense placement. So the kid, when I like, that was a safe place to go. So I was very selfish and like I had a hard time with like jealousy in theater and everywhere. And so when I got to college and I was allowed to just be good at music stuff, that Leo was allowed to come out more, and I was allowed to be like, yeah, I do like being on stage and I do like doing all this stuff. When I don't feel like I'm like not being respected for my work and I'm like being petty and eating like, you know, bagel chips in the corner of my high school theater, like a different part of me was able to be activated in a way that I wouldn't have thought of before.
When do I get to watch this show?
All the time, like I am such good reality television content. Like
no, I meant like you just get people to come on and you do their reading and talk through it.
I would love that. I think I just need a better. I guess I don't need anything.
You know you don't. Dude, on Instagram you can still just like invite somebody into your feed. And there was just like split screen with you. Just fucking, dude, that's how this shit started.
That's true.
I have my phone in my fucking garage.
I forget that it's so capable. I'm the person that sends my friends like reels. Like I'll be like, look at this TikTok, and they'll be like, why did you send it to me on Instagram? I'm like, that's where I saw it first. I'm like, I'm just that dad who's like, I'm just like I'm not on Twitter because it goes too fast. Like,
I feel the same way about Twitter. I mean, I'm on it.
Good Lord, by the time somebody sends me a tweet, they tweeted 18 other things. That's like click 19 times to look at this meme, and it's like not worth it. Whereas Instagram's like big pictures, nice and simple.
Right. Dude, just do it. Just start the show.
I think that'll be good.
And tell me when I can watch it, because I want to watch it. This sounds really, really exciting to me.
It'll be a gay old time. Yeah. But I do have a tiny little show. It's not like an interactive thing, but once a week I do a thing called the West Nest.
Okay.
I just post like a 5 or less minute video of a original piece a week. It's me, same background, or this nice little blank wall over here.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just me doing something. It's just like encouraging me to just actually do stuff again, because 2020 was a big like, oh, I don't have anything recorded, so I don't really have anything to show for myself. And it's like, yeah, cool, but the pandemic won't be forever. So like get used to like the culture shock of being on stage is going to be astronomical in like after COVID, like being actually physically in front of other people. And I already had that stage right before. So I'm like, I'm going to have to like, I'm trying to like make myself be good to my musician self.
When can people see that show?
Oh, it is just on. Just look at my live. I don't have a set day of the week.
Good answer. I love it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And I always post it on my story. So, and I do drag. So I might be, if you see a different face with the same locks, because I don't have wigs, then it'll be a Klondike with a Y, as my IG says.
Awesome. Well, then you can follow right there. And everybody, thank you so much for hanging out on the show tonight. Wes, thank you for being on the show and fucking doing my chart and just hanging out and playing me beautiful songs. I'm glad we finally got a chance to know each other.
Yeah, this has been so great, Chris.
In front of the internet. Okay. I'm going to go to bed, though. It's about that time. Much love to you. Yeah. Yeah, Daddy wake up time's at 6:30. So
I respect that.
Shut it down. Well, have a good rest of the night, rest of yours, and I'll talk to you and everybody else out there really soon. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.